Welcome to SwarmCast, the marketing hive for pest control pros from coast to coast. If you're tired of your competition bugging you and want to grow your business like a well-built colony, you're in the right place. Each episode, we'll break down the latest marketing trends, expert insights, and proven strategies to help you exterminate the competition and keep your phones buzzing. So strap in, pest bosses. It's time to swarm the market and take your business to the next level. This is SwarmCast.
Welcome to the SwarmCast, episode 33 already. Taylor, we have you, and I'm going to try to say this correct. Aculeo. Am I saying that right?
It's close. Aculeo.
Aculeo.
Yeah.
Aculeo.
Aculeo.
Okay. Anybody that sees the business name will probably say it like Italian or try to pull it off that way.
Aculeo.
Aculeo. CEO and founder.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we invited Taylor. He's got some new technology here for bees. Now, this isn't just something he just thought up in his basement and came along. I've been hearing about this technology, I'm going to say, for 2 years.
Just about.
And you solved a problem here locally in Tucson, and you've been building on this thing. I'd love to hear this entrepreneurial spirit. And you've brought something that's not out there. You'd think there'd already be something that's eco-friendly, that knows the science behind how these bees and wasps exist and do. So it's not just a reactive solution. Okay, so I think this is not bleeding edge. We've known about this stuff. Your father's been putting it out there in the field, but it's been MacGyvered, is what you said earlier in the interview. So here now we have this sustainable product right in front of us, a smart service strategy. And then also for operators that are listening, the take home is, hey, here's another way you can make income for your pest control business that's good for the environment. It's going to reduce callbacks, differentiate your brand, and then it says a more modern solution, because there's a lot of old solutions out there that are killing a lot of bees needlessly.
Yes.
Here it is, Aculeo.
Yes.
We're gonna make a new world with this product, and hopefully, if you're listening, you're gonna learn a lot about bees. I know I did from listening to you earlier in the day. But let's go ahead and get into this interview.
Awesome.
Taylor, here we are. We're gonna kick this off with a couple different key points. I know that we were talking about market prevention first services, and stop competing on price. So let's talk a little bit about the technology that exists today and what you guys have brought to the world. What are you guys doing that's different?
So traditionally, the way that you would handle a bee problem, if you're going to be the most thorough and efficient, is to follow the bees from the problem source back to where they're coming from, which is just called beelining. It's something that beekeepers have done for a gazillion years, and you find where the hive is at. And in the pest control world, the normal answer is simply to exterminate the hive, right? So that is because it's a very it's a very effective solution. Right? Sure. You don't have the beehive anymore. There's not going to be the bees anymore, and your customer is happy. The problem, of course, is first of all, the optics of eliminating bees is very not popular anymore. People don't like that. And then beyond that is the fact that you have to follow the bees back to where they came from. And very oftentimes that's going to be at a location that's not on your client's property. Therefore, is not going to be something that you could actually solve for them. Right. So there's those two components. And there's the fact that you're killing bees, which is, just generally speaking, we don't want to be doing that to pollinators. There's an argument to be made that we should, or that we could eliminate honeybees because they're non-native to the Americas in general. There are many thousands of local pollinators that are from the Americas, but we brought the bees with us. But generally speaking, it's just not something that we want to do. We don't want to eliminate honeybees. So that being the case, what we have done is we have made a variety of technologies that interrupt the behavior patterns that we don't like as humans. So instead of just going all murder-hobo on the bees, what we do is we stop them from doing the thing that we don't want them to do as a solution as compared to just killing them. Does that kind of more or less make sense?
Yeah. I mean, being... having a pest control business and doing exactly what you're saying for customers and offering that as a service, Now here's an alternative thing. I think one of the questions we were looking at in the beginning is this bleeding edge,
Yeah.
cutting edge?
Yeah.
What is this?
It's an interesting question. I would say that it is. It's cutting edge. We're taking things that have been done for a while, right? And we are packaging them in a way that the normal owner or operator of a pest control business can successfully implement in the most easy way available right now. And we're constantly working to try and make it more efficient and easier to install the variety of different products that we have. But I wouldn't say that we're bleeding edge just simply because we're not doing like the actual research. We're simply taking the research that has been done by people like my father, right? This is a family business.
Sure.
And packaging it in such a way that people can easily get access to.
Awesome. I mean, I think the first time I heard this company name, heard people talking about the technology, it was to fix a problem with a very large, I would say, coffee company.
Sure.
Right. And that's what I heard about it. It's like,
Right.
hey, you need to hear about this problem. Here's the solution. The bees were all around the drive up. You know, a lot of sugar being handed off in those coffee type drinks. I know we're not going to probably mention the company, but very large chain.
Right.
What did you guys do for them that worked?
Yeah. So we use a product called BuzzBox. That's was the core invention that we created for to start Aculeo. That specific device is designed to mitigate exactly what you were saying, sugar foraging issues, right?
Yes.
So we have bees that are going to a location to get a resource that we are providing for them. In this case, it is sugar because like every animal, they need carbohydrates to sustain their lives, right? So they're going, and there's going to be certain times a year when there's not going to be naturally occurring carbohydrates, right? So that'd be normally like a flower as a place that they would go to. During certain times of year, those flowers are either not blooming or maybe it's too hot if we're here in the desert, right, for there to be a successful bloom. So even if there is something that's blooming, the nectar will dry up and they don't have access to that sugar source anymore. So they turn to humans, which we are kind of coexistent in some ways, especially in areas like Tucson or the desert Southwest. Bees could not survive without us here. We provide too many other resources. So sans humans, the bees can't be here. Therefore, the bees actually need to use us as their primary source of food a lot. So what BuzzBox does is it brings the sugar foragers from the area where they're not supposed to be. So that's going to be a trash can or a drive-up window, or maybe dumpsters, places like that. Maybe customer drinks, which would be like the most obnoxious place for them to be, right? And it incentivizes them through a couple of different methods by providing them a source of food, but also by calling them with Nasanov pheromone, or our version of Nasanov pheromone, which is, not to toot my own horn, and we can get into what that is later, but it's the best version that exists on the market. It is a kick-ass version of Nasanov pheromone. Nasanov pheromone essentially says, come here, come check this thing out. It's a naturally occurring pheromone that they use to communicate with each other, and we are just hijacking that signal to call them to our device. Ultimately, what ends up happening is that all of the foraging that's occurring at the locations where we don't want it to happen goes to the location where we do want it to happen, which is going to be typically up high. We say to put the buzz boxes up high, get them out of the human realm, and then have them start foraging from that instead. And then through the mechanisms that are in the buzz box, we collapse that communication network that they're using to harvest or bring more recruitment from the hive to the location, and the surrounding area that is surrounding the buzz box itself ceases to be a piece of knowledge for the hive that those foragers were coming from. So the hive is totally fine. The location that we were having the issue at is no longer on their radar, and everybody's happy. We've got happy bees over here, and we've got happy humans over here because they don't have any bees.
That's an awesome solution.
Yep.
So no one's killing any but bees.
It does kill some bees. Let's be really clear here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Right. So we're not killing the hive.
The hive.
Right.
Okay.
So the main body of bees right, which is still able to proliferate, still is doing its job out in the world and harvesting from different sources, is just no longer angled and directed at our client's source, right? The individuals that were going to our client's source are eliminated, right? That's the mechanism that we're using in this particular case to stop them from knowing about what we don't want them to know about, right? Those individuals that had the knowledge about the sugar sources, the trash cans, are eliminated via the buzz box.
The scouts, basically.
The foragers, right?
Foragers,
Yep,
okay,
exactly.
sure.
And then that location, as a result, is no longer being foraged from. Yeah.
It's better than coming out and all of a sudden, oh, I found this huge hive.
Right, exactly.
Because they built it there.
Right.
Right. I'm thinking about the benefits to a huge commercial use for this. A lot of retail locations. In Tucson, there's a lot of pools.
Sure.
Everybody wants to use their pool in the summer, and when there's bees around, obviously you don't want your kids to get stung. That happens a lot. Tell us about how is there a different product for that, or do you use the same kind of technology here?
There's definitely some crossover for BuzzBox.
Okay.
I've seen lots of operators set up a water station instead of, so just literally giving them an alternative source of water, right? What makes that work better is when you use one of our other products called Buzz Hero. And Buzz Hero was originally designed to push bees and wasps from a water source where they're not supposed to be. So, and it's meant to be a very temporary solution. So we still want to allow the animals, if at all possible, to forage from our pools when we're not using it. If we're not there, then there's no harm, no foul, right? The problem occurs when you're out there on your pool decking and you've got your fancy drink and you're doing your thing, and then you end up stepping on one of them because she's foraging from one of the pools of water that you've created by playing in the pool, which sucks. I mean, I've had that experience. Most people have had that experience who are in this part of the world. You reach for something, you get stung. You step somewhere, you get stung, right?
Yeah.
They're not being aggressive. They're simply having a reflexive response and stinging you as a result of being stepped on, which I would do too if I was a bee, right? So what we're doing is we're essentially making the area where they are going and they're landing to forage for water super unappealing to them. So I'm going to give, this is the nerdy part that gets me excited, right? I like to understand the mechanism that we're exploiting. In this particular case, so you and I, we have our dopamine system, right? What does a dopamine system do? Do you know?
Dopamine just like gives you a feel good kind of,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it reinforces a behavior, right? So if you've got like a greasy piece of pizza, right, that's a lot of calories, a good source of salt. Our bodies want that, right? If we're in the nomad deserts or whatever, and you find a slice of pizza, like, dang, that's some good stuff, right? So you scarf down the pizza, your body rewards you by giving you dopamine, right? It says, do that again. It's a reinforcement mechanism, right? Do that thing again. Bees have the same exact thing. It's called the Octopamine System, all right?
Really?
And every invertebrate has this, right? It was originally discovered in octopuses, which is why it's called octopamine, right? Cool. But it's the same exact thing, and it actually mechanistically is identical, but it has a very similar chemical trace as well. But it simply exists in invertebrates. What we're doing is we are overloading their octopamine system with the Buzz Hero, right? So imagine that you went to a local bar, a gastropub, all right? And you're enjoying like a greasy burger. It's delicious. And there's like live local musicians and they're doing their thing and it's a good time. If all of a sudden somebody turns the sound of the musicians up to like 40,000, right? And you're getting blown out and all of a sudden your greasy, delicious burger is just nothing but salt. It's not so enjoyable anymore, right? Everything has been turned up to 11 and you're gonna get the heck out of there. I need to leave immediately. Same exact thing with the bees. We're just turning up their mechanism to 11 and telling them to get the heck out of town. So when they do that, the first thing that I say is to mist kind of generally the area around where they're landing, right? Not the air. We don't want to cause like a secondary spillage onto flowers or anything like that, but you kind of spray the area adjacent to where the animals are and they get up and they get the heck out of there. Like it's a very, very quick thing. When they leave, then the area where they were actually landing, you literally spray it down with the Buzz Hero and do so every hour or so while you're still swimming. And during that period of time, you'll have much fewer bees or wasps in the area. We recently have redone that label so that it's expanded out to also include the J trim and eaves of different buildings. and additionally trash can areas. So we're imagining this being used at, a Starbucks or something like that. When there's a shift change, you simply would mist down the inside of the lid of the trash can and drive the animals from that area during that period of time. So there's much less foraging activity on the area. So in conjunction with the buzz box, it actually works really well. Whether you're using it as a replacement for water or you're using it as a replacement for sugar foraging, you can use it in either way, but pushing the animal from an area, drawing them to an area, and therefore completing the mechanism to a location that is much, much, much easier for humans to handle and for the bees to handle also.
Awesome. Is that something that the customer could do themselves?
So the Buzz Hero is specifically aimed at customer use.
Like the retail side.
Yeah, we're imagining this being in Walmart at some point or Target. Okay. In the meantime, though, if you are an owner operator, this is something that you can set up as a monthly fee that you're doing with your client, and included in that is a bottle of Buzz Hero. Right?
Perfect.
So they can solve their own issue in the moment. You don't have to come by every time that they have a bee on their pool, right? Which we like to have the client interaction. We like to be called to the location because you can oftentimes find something else that's going on, solve that problem for the client, and get paid more money to do it. Yeah. But also there comes a point in the middle of summer when you have 30 or 40 people calling you. And when you're a specialty company, I come from a specialty company that deals with nothing but bees, right? It's overwhelming. It's just so much, right? So you're going to hire a specialist to only take care of bees during the summertime for pools. You could do that, or you could simply charge $50, $100 a month to your client. And that, what comes with it is protection via some of the other products that we have, but also here's your bottle of Buzz Hero from May to September, sure. Right? Every month you get a new bottle, and it's a solution for them to solve themselves. So
what I heard is there's some really nice pieces for the pest control owner. It's almost like a carpet cleaner that gives them, hey, here's a stain remover.
Yes.
This is the best. You can't buy this stuff anywhere, right? Even if they could buy it, you're still bringing it to them.
Right, precisely.
And maybe you start off with, here's a sample bottle, And I think that was part of the thing here is there's revenue potential for the pest control owner. Increases the credibility of the pest control operator who doesn't want to do a good job and fix problems.
Yep.
And then I hear the environmental thing. So there's a lot of wins here along the way that is no doubt giving this thing some wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing. Now, I know there's some other things that you want to talk about, as far as I would say it says the honeybee calls are different, how to build trust, credibility. Is this some of the things that we were talking about already with the pheromones and the, what'd you call it, octamine or
Octopamine?
Sorry, I don't say this stuff all the day.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
But what's helpful for me is to understand how it works. Part of this podcast is here's the education.
Sure.
Part of this is for pest control owners that, sometimes they're a one-trick pony. They're only offering one kind of service. Bees, wasps, big problem all over.
Yeah.
And they are seasonal, but here's something you can add to your arsenal, maybe to help up with some of that, solving the problems just means more income, more revenue.
Sure.
And then, a lot of these customers are reoccurring revenue.
Yep.
So just say, hey, would you like to have this option is what I'm thinking, something along those lines.
Yeah.
These months we recommend.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And what I actually suggest to people is that they don't even, people, you can be very transparent with your client and tell them what you're doing if they want to learn that.
Sure.
Right. What I think is a better strategy in general is to have the arsenal of available products that you can use as the professional, right? You're the person that is in charge of this particular thing, right? You're meant to be driving this ship. And so when you educate yourself on the behavior patterns of bees and wasps, and you're able to then intervene or preferentially proactively stop them from being an issue to begin with, then you're able to actually show your client, hey, I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm worth the cost of whatever it is that I'm asking, right? So you put yourself into the expert role in that particular case. The cool thing about bees and wasps is they're very, very predictable, right? There is a very linear a connection between what prompts the behavior and the behavior itself. And if you can learn to recognize what prompts the behavior, then you can immediately start to intervene on the behavior that is not the thing that we're wanting to have happen, way before the behavior actually occurs, right? So take, for instance, Scout Stop, one of our products, all right? It is literally meant to stop the infestation process before it begins. So if you have a property that constantly is getting infestations in it,
Sure.
the first thing to do is make sure that the previous infestations are gone, all right? My little device can do nothing to the giant pheromonal beacon of an already existing hive inside of a building, okay? But once that has been removed, once the comb is out of there, once the honey is out of there, seal it up really nice. Make sure that you're using 30-year caulking, right, to fill in the gaps. And if there are larger gaps, use fiberglass insulation. And so make sure that it's nice and tight. Make sure the whole building's put together. You don't want any vulnerabilities there. And then hang Scout Stop on there. And what Scout Stop does is it uses our pheromones, and I can grab that in a second. Our pheromones we call Buzz Beacon. They are the Nasonov pheromone, or a very, very good chemical mimic of Nasonov pheromone that the bees already release via the Nasonov gland on their abdomen, and it calls them into the device itself and stops them from returning with any information about your client's vulnerabilities back to the swarm that's trying to move in. So the way that honeybees reproduce is that at a certain time of year when there's a lot of resources, they will start to make another queen. And so that queen will be in her queen cell and she's getting ready to go. And this is very simplified. So any of you entomologists out there, don't give me crap about this, all right? So the queen, she will start to emerge. Just prior to that, the old queen will actually leave and she'll take off and she'll take a lot of the workers with her. The mix of those workers is really interesting. So there's about 10% of them, maybe 15%, that are older workers that have the ability to sting, because bees don't sting when they first come out for the first week, 2 weeks. And those older workers, they know the lay of the land. They know what they're looking at when it comes to resource availability, when it comes to kind of the potential homes they can move into. What they do is they go to those potential homes and they start to release Nasonov pheromone, right, to summon other scouts, which is what these are, scout bees, right? They go to that location, they start to release the Nasonov pheromone. If enough of that Nasonov pheromone is being released from a location, then the swarm decides to get up and go to that location and move into it, right? And there's a bunch of qualifiers that they use to make sure that location is good.
It's amazing.
It doesn't even matter in this particular case, because what ends up happening is that those scout bees will be drawn into the Scout Stop and therefore are eliminated, therefore unable to communicate back with the swarm and stop the infestation process before it begins, right? So it's a preventative thing. We're trying to stop your client's location from ever having that issue to begin with. And if you end up doing a removal on a house, it is the prime time to be like, hey, you know how you just paid $1,500 to have this, hive removed from your building? How would you like to not do that again? And they're like, yeah, I would like that very much, please. Thank you so much. And you said, well, here's it $50 a month, whatever the thing is, whatever the cost that you are putting on the client, or the investment that they're going to make in your technologies. Then you provide them with that solution. And then the last piece of it is that if they do have an issue, you can eliminate it right away, because you're going there monthly to make sure that that product is actually working. If they do have an infestation that occurs, then just provide the elimination for free, right, inside of their house. Make sure that area is nice and sealed up. And it's almost, don't ever say this, but bee insurance, right? It's a guarantee. Sure. Right. And you would never frame it that way because of the legalities of using the word insurance, but it's an easy way for us to understand what that means for somebody. Sure. So
yeah, I'm thinking about, there's so many commercial applications of this, right? So many commercial. I'm thinking about operators that maybe they're doing less than $1 million a year. Sure. They're trying to pop their revenue, and they go into an area and they're like wanting to cover a resort or a apartment complex or the pool area, as opposed to, sometimes residentials, they're tapped out. They're not going to pay any more than their monthly. Maybe they will for a season, but these resorts, they don't want those problems.
Sure.
And I think of a couple resorts here in Tucson where I have went. I see the bees everywhere. And I was like, well, that's not appealing to me. It's beautiful out here, but all these bees are foraging, and I don't want to get stung.
Yeah, it's unnerving. Right?
It's unnerving.
It's uncomfortable.
It's unnerving. And, like you said, people leave their drinks and they're doing their thing. So, let's talk a little bit about the marketing side of this.
Sure.
For let's just say somebody's interested, that you said something that was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like to see the product. Did you bring some product along with us?
I did.
Cool.
I brought some samples.
Let's take a look at the product, what that looks like out in the field, and then maybe hear your thoughts on, because your dad's still in the bee business.
Yep.
It'd be nice to see, well, how's he marketed it? What has he, I mean, along those lines of, okay, this isn't just, you're coming in saying, here's a product I have.
Right.
I want to hear some of that story too.
Sure.
Can we talk about some of those things?
Well, we'll start here since it was kind of the origination point of everything. This is BuzzBox. So BuzzBox is always sold in pairs. All right. And I'm just going to take this off for 1 sec. So this is what goes underneath this, and they're always sold as a pair, and this tray comes with the kit, the basic kit. So what's going on here, the reason why we sell them in pairs, the way that we'd always encourage people to not split these units up, all right? It's not because we want you to buy more of the thing, all right? We simply find that it works so much better when they are displayed in pairs like this. And one of them has the Toxify platform on it, and one of them does not. All right.
Okay.
The reason why. So let me just open this guy up real fast, and I can show you like the actual mechanism of what's going on. This is the shell. It's meant to keep other animals out, but these are actually holes for the pheromone right up on top.
Okay.
And then let's set this off to the side. This is the tank where your sugar attractant goes, your sugar feed. Right? Oh God. But this is what I'm talking about right here. All right. This is the platform.
Oh, nice.
So right here.
Okay.
There's one of these in every unit. All right. On 50% of the units, so one of the two, spray whatever pesticide it is that you deem to be the necessary pesticide. All right. I don't make any recommendations as per recommendations to me from my lawyer saying don't say to do anything with pesticides because we're not a pesticide manufacturer. But whatever the user ends up using would go on here. All right. This part goes down into here, and the tank is placed like this. Now, if you were using it in the field, it'd be the exact opposite of what I did, right? You would actually put this on as the top so that you're not obviously dumping that as you put it down. Right? There's a marker on here that says drain right there. I don't know if you can see.
I see it.
Drain.
Yep.
Flip that up so that you're not going to spill it everywhere, and then it goes like that. It's all magnetized together. It empties out into the well in the bottom and then continues to feed, just a gravity feeder, right? This portion of it is gravity feeder.
Okay.
When the pest goes into the actual device, it is forced to cross over this barrier, and it is exposed to the pesticide, right? On half of the unit.
Got it.
On the other half of the unit, those workers will have no interaction at all with the pesticide, and they return back to the hive to recruit more workers to this area. The way that we have found that it works best is to have half of it toxified, like I said, because we need that recruitment to be occurring already, right? If we eliminate every single individual that goes to this by toxifying both of the platforms, then they will just continue to do the old behavior pattern that we don't want them to do anymore, which is to recruit to the trash cans, recruit to the window, recruit to the drinks. We need them to recruit to this, which is why we allow 50% of them to go back every single time, right? There needs to be that recruitment pattern.
This is like a decoy, if you will.
Yeah, in some ways.
It's a decoy where don't go here, go where my station is.
Yes, precisely.
Got it.
And then as a result, at 50% of them, the attrition rate is extremely high, right? So every single time that there's a wave, and it's not quite a wave, but let's just talk about it in waves. If 100 bees go to this, 50%, 50 of them go back, right? That same group, say that they get, 80 bees that total are going to come back, only 40 of them go back the next time, right? So it's this thing where they're recruiting more bees, but eventually the bees that are allocated to work that literal direction from the hive to the resource are all gone. And that mechanism is eliminated as a result. That feedback mechanism is eliminated. Got it. So that's why we recommend that you only toxify one of these. It is a pretty straightforward install, to be honest.
That looks very easy. Very easy.
Yeah, it's pretty intuitive. There's a spirit level right here on it to help you make sure that you're not going to dump the stuff everywhere. Obviously, since it is a gravity feeder, we need it to be pooling around the actual inside of it. So we do need it to be level. But then there's 4 mounting holes that are here, and it is meant to be mounted onto a block wall, or preferentially on a rooftop on like a parapet wall, right? So if you think about the top of like a little, like a Denny's, or not even a Denny's, what am I trying to say? A Wendy's. That's the one, right? And they've got the little teeny rooftop that's up there, and then it's got the parapet walls. You want to get it as close to the edge of the parapet wall without putting it over somebody's head as possible, right? So up at the top, make sure there's a lot of airflow, because the pheromones that you install on it are heavier than air, and these are actually going to fall down and out, right? So if it's up high with a lot of airflow over the unit, then it's going to do much better to have the bees kind of come into it. Yeah. This would go one of 2 places, either here at the top, or on the tray rather, or on the actual shell itself, like that.
Nice.
Right? And we are shipping them. We're experimenting right now with these little toppers, which kind of help it. It's just easier to grab out of the box here, but it also makes it easier to change ultimately. And the other thing is that we were having an issue with the little vials popping open, and also with people opening them. Do not open them. All right, if you buy this product, don't open it. We know the evaporation rate through the walls of the actual tube. If you open it, then there's an issue there, right? It's going to immediately evaporate. It's not going to last nearly as long as we want it to. Yeah. So that's BuzzBox. This is how this works. It's, at the end of the day, a pretty straightforward device.
How long have you been working on this thing?
A long time. I started developing BuzzBox at the end of 2023.
Okay.
So I guess not that long. But when you do it every day, it feels a lot longer.
It's still innovative. Yeah. I have never seen this in the field before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how's the response been with the, I would say, the commercial industry? They happy with these things?
Sure. Very happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Recently had a thing. I don't think I can name them by name yet, but they're in the middle of purchasing a bunch of these from us. We had one of our pest control companies that we work with go and install this on their local version of this large company. And they were so enthralled with it that I think it was 3 days later, they reached out to us, set up a meeting, and now they're purchasing one for every single location across their U.S. Their portfolio.
All these different locations.
Yes, exactly.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah. So the fun thing is that you get pretty much immediate results. It's going to be something where you can go in the middle of a very, very hard situation that you previously could not solve, right? You could not solve it because you have to go, if your client is whatever company, and the hive is on the adjacent lot. Maybe it's an abandoned lot. Maybe it's somebody else's building. Maybe it's owned by the county, right? You have to go and get permission from whoever it is to do your job. And most of the time you can't, right? Just straight up, you can't do it. This provides a local, immediate, on the location solution that you can provide for your client that is not going to destroy the hive. Right? It makes it so it's the best of all worlds. You're getting paid, your client is stoked, and the bees aren't getting murder blasted. So it's good. It's good. So that's BuzzBox, and Buzz Beacon is the name of this.
And that's the pheromone in this, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's synthetic.
Yes. Yep. We manufacture it. Yeah. So this product right here is an interesting one. We sell it in a variety of different sizes and durations. Right. So we can sell it in either 3 months, 6 month, or 1 year durations, depending on your application.
Okay.
And so if you're doing like quarterly service, get the 3 month version. If you're doing monthly service, go with the 1 year version so that, you only have to change it like every, May or whatever. Right.
Awesome.
And then 2 packs, 10 packs, and 100 packs. Right. We eliminated all the in-betweens because nobody was buying them. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. And we're working on making a wasp version as well. It's just vespids are a whole different game because you can say bees and everyone knows Apis mellifera, whatever species it is.
Sure.
But vespids, there's thousands of different species, right? The paper wasps are going to be very different than baldface or bald hornets. So
sure.
It's or murder hornets. My personal favorite. So yeah.
Yeah, no, this is good. I think that you've answered a lot of my questions coming in with the technology, where it's gone. What I didn't hear is maybe some of the history with, your dad's bee business,
Sure.
and
Sure.
how we got here.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that story.
Absolutely. So let's say, I think it was 1970, my grandfather had retired from the Air Force and decided that he was going to take up beekeeping, right? So my dad was 10 at the time. They started a family bee farm that ultimately went and he opened up a store called Southwest Bee Supply, which I think some version of it still exists now.
I've seen that.
And, but it's whatever owner previous to post us rather. So that was kind of the origination point of all this stuff. As a result, my dad grew up in this beekeeping family and ultimately went to school for all things bees, or I guess all things bugs in general. He has his PhD in entomology, he has a master's in entomology, a bachelor's in chemistry, a bachelor's in marine biology of all things.
Wow.
And he has like 6 or 7 different degrees. I don't remember them all. Wow. But very, very educated guy. Ultimately went on to work for the USDA, doing some research for them, flying to different places and living in the local environment to do that actual research. During the 50s, I'm going to take this is a little tangent. During the 50s, there was a researcher that brought these lowland savanna bees from Africa into Brazil, and they accidentally got loose. The story is that his workers did not realize they were a different species of bee.
Oh, wow.
And accidentally released them. Reportedly, there was 26 hives, and those are the Africanized bees that we now know as like the killer bees, right?
Yeah.
That everybody kind of like fearmongers about. Those bees are really the ones that we're trying to address with all this stuff, because the European bees, which are the ones that we use for pollinating services inside of our crops, are kept by beekeepers in very specific areas in these hives, right? Any feral colony that you have in the southern United States, at least, is very, very, very likely a Africanized bee. They're the hybridized species between the African Apis mellifera, or it's actually not Apis mellifera. It's I can't remember the species name. But Apis mellifera, the European bee, right? So it's actually a hybrid species, and those are really the ones that we're addressing as kind of the issue. So the reason why I brought that up is because my father, during the period of time when they finally got to Arizona, which was the early 90s, started his business in response to that, which is called Bee Master, and is still a very active and prolific business in this part of the United States. They're a service-based business. And along the way, he made all of these very kind of funky solutions, right? Very MacGyvered, bubblegum and twist ties to hold the whole thing together. And we have just taken what he did and we've turned it into these commercial products, right? Making it very easy for someone who doesn't have his extensive background in research and understanding of bees to implement and get the same exact results that he would get if he were to go out and do the job himself. So that's kind of the roundabout way of saying all this history, both with the world, the natural world, but also our personal family history, have come together to result in what we are looking at here, whether it's the Buzz Box, Scout Stop, or Buzz Hero.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looks like a product that you're going to eventually get on Shark Tank, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know if I can handle those guys, to be honest.
I know the guys. You let me know if you want to talk to one of them.
Okay.
I just met them actually last year.
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
in Arkansas, of all places. But great guys. They would totally... you see the show, but just hearing how you talk about this thing with passion, where it came from, all the cool things it does. Yeah. Good for the environment, good for the bees, a lot of upside, even for ones that are in the business, right? I mean, this is part of the opportunity is, there is you can make revenue with this thing.
Yep.
You be better than what's out there.
Yep.
And the way you've explained it, I don't think I've ever heard it in that level of detail. So whether you're
sorry if I was rambling.
No.
I get all excited.
What I'm getting about it is you're passionate about it, and if a pest control owner is watching this, or an entomologist, because I've had those on here too.
Sure.
It's about what's the result,
right?
This is a beautiful thing. Came from somebody that's been in the industry a long time.
Yep.
You've just put it together into something that's a commercial solution, as opposed to what you said, MacGyver. That's a beautiful thing. I think we've talked about the technology, where it came from, how it works, okay, somebody's like, I'm ready to get started and get this thing going. And there's a lot of different ways to market this. I'm in the marketing business. Besides, solving the problem, what have you found works for a lot of folks that are maybe running with this? What would you encourage them to do?
Yeah, I mean, think about who would need this product, right? If you have noticed that there is an issue, right? Every time that you go to your local gas station, there's always going to be the trash can that is just covered with bees. There's zero reason why you would not step inside and ask to speak to the manager for a second. They'd be stoked to have a solution, right?
100%.
I think this sort of product, it is specialized enough that it's really hard to market in places like Facebook, right? It's going to be, how do you do a lookalike,
Campaign. Sure.
how do you, where do you begin? Because it's such a niche group of people that are actually going to be the decision makers that would say yes to this. But what I would do is I would go to the places that have these issues that you know about, and literally just work your way up the command chain to get to the person who can tell you yes. And it can be a long game sometimes, but every once in a while you literally walk in and you're like, I have a thing for that. And they're like, dope. When can you come install it? Right. And that happens, when I'm talking to my clients, who are the people that are installing these, that happens. And then they want more, right? The
Sure,
case of the company that I was telling you about earlier. So it's, they can turn into really large clients, especially if you have multiple locations, if it is a coffee chain or if it is a restaurant chain that has 20 or 30 locations in your city. Even if you are not, a multi-city pest control company, you can gain 20 locations by simply speaking to the right manager, right? And it's just, pushing pavement at a certain point. Go talk to people. Go make sure that they know that you exist, and go make sure that they know that you have a solution that did not exist before. This is something that there's not a ton of saturation with this right now. We're very early on, and you could become the person in your city that is the de facto solution for this particular type of problem, and become the
exclusive guide.
The guy.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. I like that. Dominate your area with something that's not even available.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, this is beautiful. We'll put all the contact information in the video. And, if pest control owners, if you're looking for other ways to make revenue, you're already out there. There's more solutions to be had.
Yep.
Maybe you've been doing something the same way over and over. Here's an opportunity to look at something different.
Yeah.
And again, perception's everything. Somebody sees this and it's eco-friendly, and then, hey, it takes care of the problems without, we're going to destroy the nest.
Right.
We're going to kill some more bees here. Let's do something different
this
time around. I love it. I think it's great. Can't wait to put this, YouTube video out there for a lot of different reasons. Is there anything else you want to share with pest control owners or ones that are out there about how this could not only be good for their business or good for the environment, whatever? Is there any particular thing you'd like to share before we close up?
Only just that I think that the industry is tending, in my observation of things, to go more towards a scalpel, right? Be the scalpel that's for sale in a hardware store full of hammers, right? Everybody has been treating pests the same exact way for 150 years by just spraying the most toxic thing that they can find, just broadly speaking, and it's gone terribly, right? And it's very successful. It kills a lot of stuff, right? But we are seeing, from a biological standpoint, a massive decline in the number of literal bugs out in the world that are not around somebody's business or home, right? Or even in their crops. We see this, it's estimations of an 80% decline over the past 20 years. That's alarming as heck, right? So if you go into the situation, you have a scenario where you are able to solve it with a scalpel, right? Let's go with cutting out the tumor instead of hacking off the limb, right? It's a better solution. It can make you very wealthy when it's implemented correctly, and you can be the person that is the implementer of the thing. And it's a better solution from all aspects, for whether you're the pest, whether you're the person that has the pest, or whether you're the person that's solving the pest. Sure. So just reframing the mind a little bit. That's what I would say is like the main takeaway from a philosophical thing from me.
No, I love it. I think the messaging is great. A lot of, I would say, business owners that are in this space are going to benefit if they take advantage of this kind of technology. I love that analogy, the scalpel thing. That's really what we need to do, right? Not just keep doing how it's been done. Yeah, this is great. A lot of things to think about. Thanks for joining us on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure I'm going to see you at AZPPO here in the very near future. We're going to be speaking there, get to talk about marketing there, but it'll be nice to push this out. And I might even think of some different material that I wouldn't mind pushing your way and some opportunities. So looking forward to that later this year as well. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
That's a wrap on this episode of SwarmCast. Thanks for tuning in and arming yourself with the marketing firepower to keep your pest control business thriving. Before you scurry off, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a review. It helps us spread like a well-placed bait station. Got a topic you want us to tackle? Drop us a line and let's keep the conversation buzzing. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep swarming the market.